If you run a local business and you're trying to get more people to find out about your business online through a Google search, do we have a treat for you in this video? We're going to talk about 20 different ways that you can boost your Google search rankings for your website. Hey everybody, my name is Paul Carey and I'm an SEO consultant at Launch Site Boost. And today in this video, what I want to do is talk to you about 20 different ways that you can make different tweaks to your website in order to make it appear higher in Google search results so that more people find you organically. So the first thing that you have to do, and this is an absolute must if you own a local business, is sign up for a free Google My Business account. Now, Google My Business, that's one particular term. It's also known as GMB within the SEO industry. Basically, your Google My Business profile will allow you to actually show up on the maps on Google where you are, and also other important information such as your opening hours, what kind of business that you run, your phone information, your website. And the reason this is important is because people can actually then click on this. Now, you might think that that's fairly obvious, but you have to realize that over 50% of searches are done on mobile devices. And the vast majority of people who are searching for something locally actually end up converting. So if you can have your particular business or your Google My Business profile show up, if someone is on their phone, they can actually then click your number and call you immediately, or they can view your website immediately. They don't even need to actually find your listing in the Google search results. They can kind of bypass it by using this. The next thing that you want to do is start building business citations. Now, basically, this just means all of the websites that mention all different types of businesses. You might think of the Yellow Pages, or you might think of Yelp, something like that. Basically, business directories. All you need to do is then input your information onto these websites, which in most cases are actually free. It's just a little time consuming to get all of this information there. However, the more of these business citation websites that you're on, or directory listings, as some people may know them as, this can actually help Google to connect the dots and to give Google further indication of who you are, what you do, and what particular city, town, location, whatever it is that you operate in. This can really help give Google a few more extra signals about you. However, this does bring me on to the third section that I want to talk about, because when you are building business citations, make sure that you have what's known as your NAP details correct. That's NAP, and that stands for name, address, and phone number. Now, even with the phone number, in some cases, you might put your phone number in as +1 something something, or you might put it in as 001, whatever it might be. But try your very best to have the format the exact same on all of these different business directories, listings, whatever you want to call them. And this goes not only for your phone number, but for your address as well. In some cases, you might put your address in where you might include your country code, or you might include your postcode, whatever you call it, where you're from. But bear in mind that the format needs to be the exact same, or it should at least be the exact same on all of the different directories that you're listed on. The next thing that can really help in regards to pushing you up higher in Google is actually building more reviews. Now, believe it or not, having better reviews on your Google My Business profile, or your Google profile, some people might just call it, it's not exactly a ranking factor. However, it's more of a conversion factor. What I mean by this is if somebody searches for, let's say you run a chiropractor practice in your area, and someone searches chiropractor and you show up, if you obviously have positive reviews, they're going to want to use your services. Whereas if you have negative reviews, they're probably going to move on to your competitor. So having positive reviews isn't exactly a ranking factor in Google's eyes, but it will help more people click on your profile and your business and actually use your services. Now, usually when I talk about that, a lot of people straight away say, well, how am I supposed to get reviews? It just happens. Believe it or not, you can ask for reviews. What I would recommend is that when you actually have seen someone for a consultation or whatever it is, the particular service that you do, follow up with an email if you know that they were happy. And in that email, mention, would you mind leaving a Google review so that more people can find us and we can help more people just like you? If they've had a positive experience, they're more than likely happy to do this. However, do not send that email asking for a review if you know that that person's had a bad experience. Now, look, this is more than likely going to be an extremely small percentage of people, but it's just a little heads up. And speaking of reviews, that actually moves me on nicely to the fifth section of the video, which is including testimonials on your website. Now, one mistake that we see a lot of businesses making, especially in this day and age, is to actually make up fake reviews and fake testimonials and put them on their website. I would not recommend doing that whatsoever. If you can, I would highly recommend asking your previous customers, or if you already have testimonials, to put them on your website, but also to try, if you have permission, to include a picture of that person. Because a picture says 1,000 words, and when someone sees a face on a website, especially if it's in regards to reviews, when someone sees another human, and if they're smiling in the picture, that's going to help as well, then they're more than likely going to convert and they'll see trust within that particular review. But again, do not make up fake reviews and testimonials on your website. These need to be real. The sixth thing that you can do is actually mention the location and service you provide in the title of your website pages. Now, what I mean by that is the title is actually what shows up in a Google search result before anyone even ever sees your website. But believe it or not, you have the ability and the power to change what actually shows up there. This is called your web page title. Now, a common mistake that a lot of people make is they might just put something such as "Welcome to our website," or they might just call it "Home," and that's what shows up as the title. Nobody knows what that means, and that includes Google, so they're not going to get great signals from your website to know what it's about in the first place in order to show it to people. So like we mentioned a moment ago, if you run a chiropractor practice, and let's say in this example you're based in Boston, you would want to have as your website title, "Chiropractor based in Boston," or "Chiropractor in Boston, free consultation," or whatever it is. But you have about 60 characters to play with there before it gets truncated in Google search results, meaning that it'll be cut off. So if you can, I would include the title of what you actually do, the service that you provide, as well as the location. Because not only does this help Google understand better, but it means that if someone is in Boston who needs a chiropractor and they search "chiropractor in Boston" and your website shows up in a Google search result with the title "Chiropractor in Boston," they're more than likely going to click on you. That actually helps move us into transitioning into the next section, which is also mentioning your location and your service in your website description. Now, the description is the other part that shows up in a Google search result. It's that kind of paragraph or so, 2 lines, whatever it may be, that shows up in a Google search result. That basically means you have a bit more real estate to tell someone why they should click on your website as opposed to the other 9 competitors that have appeared. Now, a great hint here is that if you actually include the term "chiropractor in Boston" in this example, if that's what actually someone has searched, they've searched the term "chiropractor in Boston," if that's in your website description, that will then appear as bold in the Google search results, helping you stand out even more and drawing someone's eye to your website as opposed to competitors. Again, you have the ability to change your title and descriptions on your website. And for section 8, similarly enough, to mention your location and your service, but this time mention it in your heading tags. Now, we've talked about heading tags before on this channel, and basically they're the sections that not only help people go through your website more and give a better layout, but heading tags are something Google and other search engines are actually looking at, and they're looking at the keywords that you've used within those heading tags. So if you, again, own a chiropractor practice, but you have a few different locations, let's say you've one in Boston, you have another one on the other side of the world in Sydney, you've one in London, whatever it may be. If you have a single website, and under your location section on your website, you have Boston, London, Sydney, whatever it might be, the H1 tag, the biggest heading tag on those pages essentially, should say "Chiropractor in London" or "Chiropractor in Boston," whatever the actual location and service is. Because not only does this give indications to Google, but it's also what people will see more than likely as soon as they click on the page. So that gives them indication that they're in the correct place. Now, moving on to section 9, and it's yet again another place to include your actual location and the service you provide in a particular section of the website, and this time it's your image alt tags. So your website should include images on it, okay? That's just going to be a simple part of web design and to help someone actually understand what you can provide to them. Now again, in this example, you are a chiropractor. So if it's just a simple picture of someone who's getting a particular adjustment from you, if you have that picture on your website, well, what you can do in what's known as the image alt tag, and this is what appears if for whatever reason the website fails to load, or if someone's using accessibility features to go through your website, but it's something Google look at. But your image alt tag, which you have the ability to change, you can actually then describe what that picture is. Now bear in mind, that's what this is designed for. This is designed so that you can describe to someone who doesn't actually be able to see the picture, again, because it didn't fail, or it failed to load, or whatever it may be. But bear in mind that you need to describe the picture, but you can be clever and include keywords in that. Previous client getting an adjustment from chiropractor in Boston. Now you have those keywords in there, and you've also got the particular image alt tag describing what the image is also. So this is exactly what Google want to see. And the last place that I'm going to talk about mentioning your location and the service you provide on the page itself is actually within the page copy. Now this just means the text that actually appears on the page. Now we've talked about including your keyword in a lot of different places so far. So what you also need to be careful of, and I mentioned it a moment ago, is not to be keyword stuffing. This means that you don't want to write the text on that page to say, we are a chiropractor in Boston who offer chiropractor in Boston services for your needs of chiropractor in Boston. Google doesn't like that. They're very smart. They're going to know that you're doing what's known as keyword stuffing. So you need to write it organically. The rule that we always mention is write for humans first and search engines second. But bear in mind that you do need to, at some stage within your website copy, mention the particular title in regards to what you do and also the location that you serve. So again, if it's chiropractor in Boston, somewhere within the text on that page, you should mention that particular term. So section 11 of what you can do to actually increase where you appear in Google search results and have more people find you in your local area is use keywords that we know for a fact people are already using. Now, when I say we, I mean me and you and everyone else in the world has access to this. Now, if you saw our previous video on this channel, that was all about keyword research and how to find keywords that people are actually searching every single month within your area. So you can actually use the keywords that we know historically people search every single month. And you can then use them throughout your website, sprinkle them throughout your pages, and you'll start to appear for more relevant terms of people searching for you in your local area. Now, if you actually do manage to appear in Google search results after you've done a few of these things, what you also then need to do, which is section 12 here, is actually provide useful and unique content. You can't just create a page in order to rank for something that doesn't actually offer any value to somebody. So for example, again, in this case, if it's chiropractor in Boston that you want to rank for, you need to provide useful information on that page. So not only should it be a case of these are the kind of services we provide, we can help with back pain, neck pain, whatever it may be, but it might also include something such as, have you tried this particular home remedy before you see us? This sometimes can help. And again, you're providing value to that person so that they start to know, like, and trust you. Whereas if they try something at home and it doesn't particularly work for them, well, then they know who to go to, which is you. So providing unique and useful content to somebody really helps also. And section 13 is going to be diving into a bit of what we call technical SEO, because this is a bit nerdy, but it involves adding FAQ schema markup to your website. Now, I know that's an extremely nerdy sentence to say. Basically, what this means is putting a little piece of code behind the scenes on your website for a particular page that includes questions. So if on your page you have an FAQ section, if you include those as schema markup on your website, that means you can actually have further chances and you can actually take up more real estate in a Google search result. Because, for example, if you've ever searched something, you've probably seen the people also ask section. You can show up there. But also what can happen is you'll take up further real estate under your title and description where you're mentioned, and Google will show a couple of FAQs that are on the page as well. Again, the more real estate that you can take up in the Google search results, the better. And by implementing FAQ schema, you have the opportunity for this. Now, bear in mind, only do this if you already have FAQs on the page. You can't put schema on the page if those questions don't actually appear on the page. Section 14 is all about building internal links on your website. Now, basically, this just means that you're linking to other important pages on your website throughout different pages on your website. So, for example, if you are trying to create a page all about chiropractor in Boston, that's your dedicated landing page, well, somewhere within that copy or the text that's on the page, you might mention the term back pain. Now, if you have a particular blog post in this example that's relevant to your industry, that might be something such as 5 ways to reduce back pain in the future, you can actually link the term back pain, and then you can do what's known as an internal link, and it will send people to that blog post. Now, Google and other search engines love internal links, especially when they're relevant, and they should only ever be links if they're relevant, because it really helps Google and other people get more value from your website. Now, bear in mind, you don't want to go crazy with your internal links. You don't want every second or third word to be an internal link. But when it's suitable and when it's relevant, do include internal links on your website. Sticking with links, that moves us on to section 15, and that's to build reputable backlinks from other websites. Now, recently enough on this channel, we actually did a video all about what are backlinks, and we've also got another video about different things that Google want to see within a backlink, because not all backlinks are created equal. Now, Bear in mind that we also do have a full section and resource on our website about 20 different ways that you can build backlinks. So what I'll do is I'll actually leave a link for that in the description below. But we will be making a video all about that in the future, diving deeper into each section. So if you do want to see that in the future, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And section 16 is actually putting a Google map, an embeddable map, on your website in the contact or location section of your website. Now, you might think that this is fairly obvious, but we've seen so many people who run local businesses, and the first thing that most people are going to want to find out when they've decided they want to do business with this particular person or use their product or service, whatever it might be, if they have to go to your location, they'll want to know where that location is. So it's one thing to have your address mentioned on your website in the footer, for example, but if you can actually include a Google map that someone can see immediately where you're located, that is so extremely handy to that particular person. Now, we can't see any correlation of if Google give any boost to you because of this, considering it's a Google map that you're embedding. But however, we would recommend that you do this, maybe if it's not for SEO purposes, but for conversion rate optimization purposes. Now, bear in mind, that also means that if you've embedded that map on your website, if you have reviews, like we mentioned earlier in the video, those reviews will also show up there. And number 17 is make sure that your website is mobile friendly. Now, surprisingly, you'll find that most websites these days are mobile friendly. However, most websites that a lot of people visit, they could be e-commerce websites, they could be informational based websites, but we've found that a lot of local businesses still are using websites from the 90s that are not mobile optimized. Now, Google, recently enough, at the time that I actually recorded this video, they did release an update to their algorithms that basically say, if you're not mobile optimized, they're not going to show you in the search results. Now, this is because that Google, from the data they have, they know that the majority of people searching something are on a mobile phone. Now, we also know that the majority of people searching something locally, such as if someone's searching for the business or service you provide, local searches are also more so done on a mobile device. So you need to have a mobile optimized website that works seamlessly on small devices. Google love to see this, and they can detect that sort of stuff. And section 18 of what you should do is create a dedicated landing page for all of the different services that you provide. So again, we'll stick with the example that you're a chiropractor in Boston. Now, it might not just be chiropractic services that you offer. If you also have a separate section of the office that includes massage or sports therapy, whatever it may be, make sure that you have dedicated landing pages on your website for all of those particular services. Because it's not going to be a case of if someone wants some sports therapy or sports massage therapy, whatever it's called, that they're going to search that and you'll just happen to appear because you're a chiropractor. Google need to see that you have dedicated pages all about what somebody is searching. Trust me, I know it takes time to build out these pages and to optimize them, but it means that more people will find you consistently, organically, and that your organic revenue from your business will also then increase. It is worth putting in the time. And section 19 is to add your location to your social media accounts. Now, what we find for a lot of local businesses is that if they are promoting their website on social media, they'll use an insecure link. Basically, this just means that the link starts with HTTP, where it should start with HTTPS. I know it's only a small change, just putting the S in there, but this is something that Google call mixed content. They don't want to see that you're linking to what's known as an insecure website. Now, luckily in most cases, most CMS content management system platforms these days, they'll automatically redirect somebody to the secure version of your website, and your website visitor will be none the wiser. However, a search engine knows that it's happening in the background. So the less that you can give search engines a view to see insecure versions of your website, the better. And the final tip for boosting your local SEO is to actually use Google Analytics to review the data. Now, Google Analytics is free to set up. It's very, very simple to include on your website. You should be able to do it yourself if you're using a system such as WordPress, or you can ask your website developer to do it. It actually doesn't take too long to install. However, having the information from Google Analytics, you find out a lot of important information about the people on your website, and it helps you to then further optimize your website. So this will help you figure out things like such as what kind of keywords they've searched, and you can also use Google Search Console for that, another free tool. It'll also let you see how much time people are spending on your website on average. It'll also let you see how many people are converting on your website if you have what's known as goals set up. So every time someone sends an inquiry form or buys something on your website, whatever it might be, you can set them up as goals in your Google Analytics so you know what kind of people and what percentage of people who go onto your website actually convert to a paying customer. And that's really important information to have, but it gives you lots of other information as well. And then you can also compare that data to the previous month or the previous year or previous quarter, whatever it may be, whatever way that you run your particular business. So there you have it. That was 20 different things that you can do on your website for your local business to actually boost you up in the Google search results so that your website can be seen by more people in your community and then convert more so to customers, increasing the organic revenue of your business. I hope you got a bit of value from this video. If you want to see more like this in the future, make sure you are subscribed. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them down below and we do our very best to reply to each and every single one of them. Other than that, I'll end the video here. Hopefully you got a bit of value. Hopefully you have a good day and we'll speak again soon. Bye.